Welcome to our chapter number 11, page number 161 of turning our dreams into reality. And yesterday we have done two steps. Let's review them again. First thing was that turning our dreams into reality is very much possible. If we have a dream and all you do is start it, begin it. And how do we begin that? Number one is write it down with clarity. So much of clarity that if we need a dream job, a vacation, a dream project, or we need a dream financial stability, we write the reason why we want that dream to come true. So if we say financially be independent, how does that mean? Do we want to be debt free? Do we want to have some income in cash, in check? Until when do we want? So we were told very categorically that it's very imperative to make the detailed journaling of our dreams. The descriptors are to be very important. In the same part, we were told that dreams are going to be dreams until you make them, give them a deadline, then they become goals. And goals are achievable. Dreams are just seen and never really made to come true because they don't have any purpose as such. They don't have any timeline as such. Then we were told very categorically again in part two that we should start with a plan. They also told us very, very nicely, very simply that if we think there's a final foolproof plan and we start it after that is formulated, there's no concept as that. So we simply have to start. And when we start, it means we just go on the jumping off point and we just jump into it. And then whatever unfolds, we learn from that. So that is very, very imperative. Now, today we're going to be reading the part number 3, which is, and I'm repeating this, as I said, because in the session before, after 7 odd minutes, there was no volume. So we have to repeat this because I believe it was. So I changed my AirPods into normal and I didn't realize that the volume was still coming into the AirPods. All right. Step number 3, know and pay the price. Aha, there's the catch. I knew it. Here comes a big sacrifice. So what will I have to do? Throw away my television, say goodbye to all the fun and forego all my favorite foods? Give up a kidney? Chances are it's not quite that dramatic. Like anything else, when it comes to goals, we tend to see things that like they're on the big screen, but they're not. Though your dreams may be big, in fact, I hope they're huge. Remember the steps you're taking to get there. What, huge? No. Small? Yes. Tiny baby steps, easy to do. The price you pay works the same way. You don't have to pay for your $1 million dream with a $1 million personal check. You can pay for it, well, with a penny a day. But you do need to understand what that penny is, and you do need to pay it. Whatever the dream, whatever the goal, there's a price you'll need to pay, and that means giving up something. Now, that something may be something as simple as giving up a type of junk food you're attached to for the sake of your health, if health is your dream goal, or something as subtle as giving up your right to be right. Sometimes we are always right, my way or the highway. There are people like that. So, or our habit of exerting control over conversation for the sake of a relationship. In a relationship, if you're always trying to be right, कि मेरी ही बात सुननी है, तो you are going to be in a bad relationship. So sometimes for the sake of a relationship, we have to keep quiet. It may mean postponing certain purchases or acquisitions, often called delayed gratification, or letting go of some pleasures for the sake of the personal dream in a longer term. So at a certain point in my life, when I had suffered some huge setbacks and lost everything I had come to a critical point of decision. I'd been an athlete all my life, and at this point, I'd become part of a softball team. We were serious. We got pretty good. Before long, we were traveling and winning tournaments all over the place. Then I hit a point where I knew I had to get my career back on track. It was time to pick up the pieces, regroup, and move on. I also knew I couldn't do this without changing something. I had to pay a price. It was a difficult choice, but I walked away from my softball team. My friends couldn't believe it. You're quitting? And I said, hey, you guys, you're still my friends. I love you, but get another outfielder. And to the same time, and invested it elsewhere. I had to plant and cultivate in a different field. Remember, There aren't many millionaires who bowl over 100. Why not? Because they left the bowling league behind to build their fortunes. Is that too large a price to pay? Is a question only you can answer. Remember this: whatever price you pay, there's a bigger price to pay for not doing it than the price for doing it. The price of neglect is much worse than the price of the discipline. It may take a few years to put your success on track, but it takes your entire life to fail. So those of us who think कि results दिख नहीं रहे, let's go, छोड़ो ना, this is not working out. Time लगता है results दिखने में. By now we have realized success curve में जाने में और failure curve में जाने में 3/4 of the way is the same. Gradually our health, our practices are building up and it's taking towards success, and gradually our practices are building up and taking towards failure. So what choice are we making? And what choice are we making when nobody is watching us? How true are we? That is what takes the most important step as our own principle. Number 4, look at it every day. So repetition is the key. We've heard that, right? Repetition is the key for discipline, for success, and so much more. जितनी बार हम एक चीज को बार बार करते हैं, हमें रट जाती है ना, हमें फिर इंस्ट्रक्शन की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, right? That's what we're talking about it. So if we look at our dreams every single day, what will happen? They'll get imbibed in our subconscious mind. Automatically, our body will start responding to that because the mind will say, yes, yes, yes. Let's read about this. The single most compelling reason for writing down our dreams is so you can look at them and read them every day. The reason you need to look at them every day is the same reason you need to keep yourself in the company of positive people. You need to counteract the force of gravity, or to put a different name to it, the force of mediocrity. हम सबको, I don't want to categorize generally, but most of us are used to a middle way of life because it's safe. If we go down, then we may lose. If we go up, the risks are too higher. So let's take the middle path. And when we take the middle class, what kind of life do we get? A mediocre mindset lifestyle. It also could be mediocre middle class. That's also there. So remember, which is why if you look at India, middle class is far more, right? Neither they're up nor they're down. Or why only India? Anywhere in the world. Remember, it's 19 to 1, and you need to constantly remind yourself where it is you're headed, or you'll drift away. If you don't keep yourself constantly, repeatedly focused on your destination, you'll be like a rocket ship without a gyroscope. You'll simply drift off gradually into the outer space of failure, never ever coming remotely close to reaching the moon. Surround yourself with it. Keep your awareness in your face. Look at it every single day. Your brain is far more complex and powerful than the biggest computer in the world. And your own subconscious is by far the biggest distraction you have. Remember how many times you've heard the word no by the time you hit the first grade? Over 40,000 times. हमें बचपन में हम भी बोलते हैं, हमने सुना भी, ये मत करो, ऐसा मत करो, ये मत खाओ, अच्छा गिराओ मत, अच्छा ऐसे मत बात करो, ऐसा करो, ये गलत है, शूज ऐसे मत पहनो, शूज ये वाले पहनो, ये ठीक नहीं है, वो ठीक नहीं है. नो 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 नो. क्यों? ह्यूमन बिहेवियर में सोचते हैं कि बच्चे को प्रोटेक्शन दे दो, वो गलती करे पहले ही गाइड कर दो, बिकॉज हम वाइजर हैं, हमने ज्यादा लाइफ जी है. बट ये इट्स अ ट्रूथ द वर्ल्ड. कोई भी बच्चा बिना गिरे हुए ही नहीं चल सकता. यू हैव टू फॉल टू बी एबल टू राइज, टू फॉल टू बी एबल टू राइज, एंड फाइनली take support and start walking, and then become without support. So you start with a single tiny baby step. That's what we're supposed to do. But when we've heard the way no, 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 subconsciously it's been tuned into our mind. And you can't do it, it'll never work, that's impossible, because that's what you've heard, right? So it gets programmed. Why even bother trying? We all come at this business of success with an extraordinary baggage of negative conditioning. And that's all right. You and I can't live our childhood over again, but we don't need to be in order to fulfill our dreams. What we can do and do need to do is surround ourselves with our own yeses. Surround ourselves with messages that tell us that our dreams are real, and our dreams are real. Our dreams are real. Keep telling us that, Sam. Having your dream concretely spelled out on paper is the most vivid and specific terms possible, and with a very tangible, concrete timeline, provides you with an environment of yes for your goals, dreams, aspirations. And when the 19 to 1 force of gravity starts leaking from subconscious mind, it says, yeah, but are they really? Then we need to respond, yes, 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 yes. Here is the amazing thing. And I've seen this happen so many times, yet it never ceases to fill me with awe. And when you set your goals, life has a way of rearranging itself. A series of events starts in motion that you could never have predicted or planned to get you there. If you just sit there and try to figure it out, it doesn't happen. But when you surround yourself with your goals, your subconscious mind goes to work with it. And if you have the right philosophy, the philosophy of the slight edge, then you will come up with the right actions and keep repeating these actions, and a series of events will kick in, including circumstances you could never have dreamt of. And that will take you to that goal. To give you an example, here is a true story of how Jeff Olson built the largest sales and distribution forces in all of Germany for one of my past companies, which has since become one of the largest such organization in all of Europe and one of the most successful in the history of that industry. Now let's read this very beautiful, challenging story. In fact, not challenging, I should be saying very inspirational story. Anatomy of a Breakthrough. How I built a German sales force. One Friday morning, I woke up and turned on the TV while I was getting dressed. On television, someone was talking about a business opportunity and franchise show in Albuquerque. I thought, hey, maybe I should be that. I called the people running the show, asked if they had an opening. They said, yeah. So I changed my plans for the day and spent the next 8 or 10 hours shopping around, buying things for my booth, and making little signs and packages to hand out. The next morning, I showed up at the franchise show and found my way to my little booth. I'd never done this before. I was surrounded by really nice professional booths. And I stood in my stupid little booth, homemade booth, trying to hand out my little brochures. Across from me, another person with a booth was blowing up balloons shaped like bears. There we were, Bear Man and me. All day long, people would come over to see me in the Bear Man's balloons, and I would try to hand out my information, but nobody paid any attention to me. I had 300 packages to give out and hoped to get names and phone numbers of maybe 10 or 20 people. But I could not even give my stuff away. Finally, I found a line that worked. As one person walked past me to see the Bear Man's balloons, I caught his eye and said, would you be interested in some great propaganda? He stopped, he laughed, and said, sure. I used that line for the entire weekend, gave out all the 300 packages, and got about 20 names. One of them happened to be a doctor named Shapiro. The next week, I called Dr. Shapiro. We had a pleasant conversation, but nothing happened as a result. I called him again, kept calling him. After about a month and a half of following up with him, he came to meet me. He came to meet me, like what he saw and got involved with, liked what he saw and got involved with my business. About this same time, I learned that our company was planning to open in Germany in about 6 months. I got my mastermind group together and said, guys, this is it. We're going to be opening up in Germany. They said, how? I had no idea how. The only thing I knew how to do was double my rate of failure. Do the thing and have the power. We thought about it. And I decided what we needed to do was to find Germans. One second, please. All right. Was to find Germans. Eventually, someone came up with the idea of dropping into the local Mercedes dealership. Someone else visited the local German club. One by one, I decided to percolate. About 2 weeks later, Dr. Shapiro showed up at a meeting and said, hey, I found a German. I asked him, what do you mean? He said, I was talking to my neighbor while he's mowing his lawn. And I say, hey, by the way, Bob, do you know any Germans? And he says, well, yeah, I know a guy who lives in Germany. And I said, really? I told Dr. Shapiro to send the German person all my information because I was planning to go over there in a few months. He said, hey, Jeff, aren't you speaking over in Miami in a few months? He said, yes, I was. Well, this guy's coming over to the US and I think he's going to be in Miami then too. A few months later, I go to Miami and sure enough, this fellow comes up to me afterwards, talks to me. His name is Win. He's from Germany and he gets quite excited about going back to Germany and helping us open up there in a few months. Except after Win flies back to Germany, 3 months go by and the company doesn't open in Germany after all. We'll have to delay the opening by at least another 3 or 4 months. So I call Will and I tell him, hey, we're open in England. Why don't you go over to England and start working over there? You can get some practice. And then when Germany does open up, you'll already know the ropes and be really ready. So Win and his wife, Birgit, go to England, rent a little flat and start working there. Now, one day, Win and Birgit are walking around England when they happen to stop to talk to a man who's painting a house. As they're talking, they ask him, "Hey, do you know anybody in Germany?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I know this guy in Germany. He's really successful there." Months later, when I finally get to Germany, I go from city to city, meeting with people in hotel lobby after hotel lobby, Hamburg, Dusseldorf, Cologne, Heidelberg, Munich, Frankfurt. I don't know, think about Germany. I don't speak a word of German. But Win and the house painter's friend go with me side by side the whole time, translating and helping me out, showing me around. At first, I'm speaking to a group. Then Will translate, then I'll say something, then Will translate. And soon something odd started happening. I'll say something, and he takes off in a rapid fire German talks for about 5 minutes straight before coming up for air. He doesn't need me to say anything else. He's just doing fine without me. But by the time I left Frankfurt, we had launched Germany, and today those two men are both multimillionaires with sales force all over Europe. And here's a question I want to ask you. How did I plan that? Maybe it was like this. One day I was sitting in my bed, putting on my socks and mumbling to myself, now how can I build a huge European sales force? I thought about that for a while, then slapped my forehead and said, I got it. All I need to do is turn on a TV. They'll probably be talking about a franchise show. And if I go to the franchise show, chances are really good that I'll be stuck in a corner with some guy called the Bear Man who's take everyone's attention off me. So I won't have any success handing out my little brochure, which will make me figure out what I should say to people. That's something, hey, would you be interested in some propaganda? And if I do that thing, not only will I hand out 300 parcels, but I'll also get about 20 names. And one of those names will be a doctor from Albuquerque, who wouldn't really be that interested at first. But even though it could take me about 3 weeks of calling him, maybe the doctor will finally show up when I'm teaching people about how to ask everyone if they know any Germans. And this doctor will ask his next door neighbor one day while he's cutting his grass. And it's a good thing because it won't be raining that day, because then this carefully laid plan won't work. If he happens to know any Germans, and he will, he'll know this person who does not only live in Germany, but happens to be coming over to Miami at the same time I'm going over there, which will really work well. Because even though he'll go back to Germany all excited about opening up there, if this plan works just right before, that won't happen because it'll turn out the company is ready to open up in Germany. Yet after all, and then that'll be just perfect because then I'll tell this guy, hey, why don't you go to England, said for a few months and practice there with my guest, and he'll probably be going ahead and doing, and maybe even renting a flat with his wife, which will be just perfect, just like I planned it. Because one day when they are walking, they'll walk right into a past this house and they'll be timed just right because as luck would have it, again, it's not raining. And so they'll stop and they'll strike up a conversation with this house painter, which is perfect house, because I have trained them well. How do you know any Hey, do you know any Germans? So they'll ask that question. And if all goes this according to my plan, then the house painter won't even stop and think about it because he'll just say, yeah, actually, I do know a fellow in Germany. In fact, he's quite a successful bloke over there. And that'll be perfect too, because when I do finally get over to Hamburg, even though it will take me, like, I don't know the slightest clue about what I'm trying to accomplish in Germany. The truth is that this guy who met me in Miami, the franchise show doctors next to apartments, neighbor's friend, and the successful guy in Germany, the guy that the Miami guy's neighborhood house painter knows, will meet me in the hotel and travel with me as my translators. And because he'll be translating for me, they'll understand the entire business and better than anybody else I talk by the end of the visit. And then maybe these two guys will go on to build the largest sales marketing organization in Germany and one of the largest in Europe. Yeah. And I nodded sagely. That would work. Good plan, Olson. And I finished putting up my socks and shoes. Do you think that's how it happened? Of course not. Then how did it happen? The truth is, I started with the plan. My plan was, I told people to ask others, do you know any Germans? That was it. That was the plan. And it worked. A simple plan. You could even say it was so simple it looked stupid. But if you start with a plan and you practice the simple daily disciplines, one plan leads to the next plan, that leads to the next plan. Can you imagine how many times the ridiculously unlikely chain of events could have fallen apart? Twice an innocuous afternoon rain shower would have scuttled it. Why didn't it? Because we started with a plan and then allowed the slight edge to work. Until one is committed, there is always hesitancy. The chances to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. Sorry, I have a cold. All sorts of things occur to help one out could never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decisions, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance with no man could have ever dreamt would have come his way. I've learned a great respect for one of Geet's couplets. It says, whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. The same was used in the chapter began turning our dreams into reality. So simply, अगर सपना है तो स्टार्ट करो, बोल्ड रहोगे तो अब जिगरा रहेगा तो अपने आप पावर भी आएगी, मैजिक भी आएगा. A whole stream of events which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. That strikes me as a very good description of how our German sales forces came into being. Don't try to figure out the whole race. Just figure out where to put your foot from the starting line. Just do it. The result looks incredibly complex, but it's not. It never is. It's always a simple little thing that takes you there. Everything you do, every decision you make is either building your dream or building someone else's dream. Every single thing you do is either leading you away from the masses or leading you away with the masses. Every single thing. So it's very important to know either we're going away from the masses or leading you away with the masses or for the masses or from the masses. तो या तो हम हटके हो जाएंगे या हम उनके साथ हो जाएंगे. So that is the only thing. Our strategy for opening Germany seemed so ridiculously simple. What made the difference was that we did it every day. Did we have success in Germany after one day, 1 week, 1 month? No, of course not. We had nothing, just a few names. And suddenly one day, those few names had blanketed Europe with a financial empire. Just like the water hyacinth. Key point of chapter 11. There are the 4 universal truths of reaching for a big dream, for a goal to come true. Now understand this again. गोल कब बनता है? जब हम ड्रीम्स को टाइमलाइन देते हैं, एक्शन प्लान देते हैं कि इस टाइम में हम ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है, अकाउंटेबिलिटी रखते हैं, रोज पढ़ते हैं. So we must write down, make it specific, give it a deadline. Specific मतलब proper detailing. क्यों चाहिए, क्या करेंगे? अगर हेल्दी होना है तो क्या माउंट एवरेस्ट पे चढ़े हैं, हमें साइकिलिंग करना है कि हमें इतना जॉग करना है, यू हैव टू गिव इट हेल्दी. क्यों होना है? रीजंस, नॉट जस्ट वेट. ओके, फाइनेंशियल होना है, फ्री होना है तो कितना पैसा चाहिए, क्यों डेट से फ्री होना है, क्या है, कितना हॉलिडे लेना है, किस लाइफ में रहना है. सेकेंड, यू मस्ट हैव अ प्लान टू स्टार्ट विद. अब ड्रीम कर लिया तो प्लान तो करना पड़ेगा ना ड्रीम को पूरा करने के लिए. एक्शन प्लान नहीं करेंगे और इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करेंगे तो फिर तो कहीं पर भी नहीं पहुंचेंगे. थर्ड, यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड एंड पे द प्राइस. पे द प्राइस मतलब कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर निकलना है, कुछ ऐसा करना है जो हमने पहले नहीं किया हुआ, सो दैट माइंड को ट्यून कर सकें कि वी आर ऑन द वे टू समथिंग ग्रेट. एंड चौथा, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, we look at our dreams every single day because we're trying to put this in a subconscious mind that these dreams are coming true by reading, implementing them again, getting inspired. Wherever we lack, we just read again. Now, Kathy Aaron of Helena MT wrote a very beautiful
testimonial, which we all must read. Again, इसमें भी आप देखेंगे perseverance है, discipline है. She has followed something, she has dreamed something. It's taken her 10 years, but it's come true. Let's understand this again. After many years of working in the real estate industry, I wake up one morning and realized I couldn't do it anymore. I was almost 40 years old and already in full burnout mode. I took a vacation to Montana to try to rejuvenate and fell in love with the big sky country, as it's called by many. Everything about the mountains and rivers spoke to me, and I knew that this was where I was going to live someday. I went back to Texas, left the real estate industry, and began my own business, rejuvenated by the dream of big sky country. I dedicated myself to consistent daily actions and modeling myself after others who were successful. सबसे important चीज, जिस इंडस्ट्री में सक्सेस पानी है, महारत पानी है, find the people who have made it big in that industry, learn from them, get inspired from them, be in their company so that you can learn to grow. I started dreaming big, really, really big. It was exciting. I thought about a ranch in Montana in the mountains, backing up to thousands of Forest Service acres with trees, rivers, and streams running through my property. I would have horses, of course, and lots of room for all my friends and family to visit and enjoy. I would build a convention center um, in the property so that I could have retreats for women and hold family reunions there, all right there at the ranch. Of course, the reality of my living conditions at the time of the dream were pretty stark in comparison. But I didn't pay attention to where I was at that time. Instead, I focused 100% on where I was going to be in 5 to 10 years. I looked at my goals every single day and envisioned myself attaining them. This again reminds everybody here, we all know it, that we all must have goals with 5-year plan. Where do I see myself? 10-year plan. Where do I see myself? If you can do that, we can really make it successful. So इसने वो नहीं देखा कि मैं इस समय किस फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन में रही हूँ, मेरे पास ये भी नहीं, ये भी नहीं, ये भी नहीं. इसने क्या बोला? मैं 5 साल में कहाँ होंगी, 10 साल में कहाँ होंगी. एंड उसने उसको इमेजिन किया कि मैं उसको कैसा फील करूंगी once I attain them. For years, mind you, she's saying years, I poured over floor plans for my dream home, and all through those years of planning and dreaming for the future, I kept working on my business steadily and with integrity and with intensity. Then you guessed it. One day, I was taking a Sunday afternoon drive to look at the aspen trees turning gold in the fall, literally drove up to my dream place. It was in the middle of the national forest with lots of trees and a stream running beside it. And right on the fence posted by the gate was a for sale sign by the owner. I drove up the hill and knocked on the gate. And as they say, the rest is history. Within 30 days, I purchased a beautiful 80-acre property that looked exactly like what I had been envisioning for over 10 years. I spent a year renovating the house to get it exactly like all the pictures I'd collected over the years. 10 साल लगे बंदी को इमेजिन करने में, मैनिफेस्ट करने में, एंड फ्लोर मैप बनाने में. जो प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी भी नहीं है, शी मेकिंग अ फ्लोर प्लान, पिक्चर्स सब बना दिया, रेडी कर दिया. अब मिल गया प्रॉपर्टी, इन 1 year में she renovated it. A lot of my friends and family wondered, how did she do it? I can tell you exactly how it was done. By applying the slight edge in every part of my life, from my beliefs, philosophies, actions, disciplines, every single day, I changed the language from can't, maybe, don't know to can, sure, I will figure it out. And this is something all of us should remember. बोलना बहुत आसान है कि नहीं होगा. But of course, can do it. Yeah, sure, I'll figure it out. Just tell me, it'll be done. Become a yes person, that everything is possible. I changed my thought pattern when I faced with the slight disappointment or so-called failure. I asked myself, what did you learn? So disappointments, failures, knocks and shocks of life in this school of earth is very natural. And then we should know that it's a lesson to be learned. The slight edge philosophy is life altering, and now I'm passing it on. I'm teaching my children and grandchildren the same principles so that they can be as blessed as I have been. I hope you dream big and go for your dreams with your whole heart. If you will consistently apply this light edge in every decision you make, you will realize them very, very soon, says Kathy Aaron of Helena. At this point, we have completed chapter number 11. Tomorrow we will be reading chapter number 12, but now let's go on to do our little slight meditation and do the lotus of gratitude. So let's close our eyes, make our hands into two small buds, and take 100 seconds and think of the 10 beautiful things that we are grateful for, which have happened in the last 10 days, in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever you wish. Maybe just the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Feel the expansiveness of your heart. Feel the love, the gratitude growing in your heart and going wider and further wider. Feel the way our gratitude improves the quality of our life. Today, on the 13th of November, the 11 portal, after 120 hours, is getting over and complete. It's still a time, good time for us, the last few hours left for us to manifest, because the veil between us and the other world is open. Whatever we say, whatever we give out, we get back. We can win. We can dream. We should dream and dream big and put them on plan, on paper, and see them coming true. Let's be inspired every single night and meet again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Until then, sleep tight and have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow at 9. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.